Today we're going to be creating a dental sales training video. This is purely for your practice to use as a tool, mainly your reception team, or if you have a team of treatment coordinators, just to convert these leads into patients that are coming through the door. So I think the main goal when we pick up the phone to talk to these patients is to just get them in for that initial free consultation. If they're physically getting in their car and driving to your practice, they have a genuine interest in the treatment that you're offering, and they have a genuine interest in using the voucher that they've received from you guys as well. So you're probably wondering how we do this. So I think the first step is to create a sense of urgency and scarcity. So we need to make these patients realize that you're a really valuable practice with lots of clients who are on waiting lists. These sort of techniques, like creating a sense of urgency and creating a sense of scarcity, is really important for those patients that are saying, I want to give you a call back later. I need to check my diary. I need to check my work roster. I need to check with the babysitter, you know, all of the excuses. So by saying to the patient, okay, well, the spots are limited. You only have a limited amount of time, and our books are filling up super fast, these patients are instantly hit with a sense of urgency. You need to emphasize again that they have received something, a gift, a present, they've won something. You need to keep on mentioning that to them, and also mentioning that your books are quite full. Another barrier that you may face is when the patient turns around and says, I'm in a rush, can you call me back later? You know, the in a rush sort of excuse, which comes across a lot. So in this case, you would say to them, yeah, that's fine. Let me quickly jot down a day and time that suits you generally. I'll have a look in our books and I'll email you, you know, a list of times and days that we have available that suit you. You can email me back, or I can give you a call tomorrow and you can let me know which day suits you best. This saves so much time, because patients will say, I'm going to call you back, and then they don't, and then you call them back, and then they try and call you back. It's just like, it's a mess. So you need to hit the nail on the head, clear up as much as you can once you've got in contact with them. So ask them what time that suits them, ask them a day that suits them, and then if they say, oh, I'm not sure, okay, do you work full time, Monday to Friday? Yes. Okay, so you have weekends off. Yeah, but I play sport on a Saturday morning. Great, let's do Saturday afternoon. I'll have a look and see if I have some Saturday afternoon appointments for you. I'll email you which Saturdays we have available. We are quite tight on Saturdays, so I'll email you where we can fit you in. And that way the patient feels like you're making them a priority again, and also too, you're cutting everything, you're finding out a lot of things about the patient as well, which is so crucial. You need to be keeping documentation of small little things, like that the patient works 9 to 5, that the patient works closer to your practice than they live, you know, that they do sport on a Saturday, that they're best to be contacted via email than via phone. All of these things save you so much time, and not just yourself. The person that comes along to follow up this lead now has a list of things of what not to do, and a list of things of what to do, and who this person that they're talking to is. So if we go back a step where I said finding out information about the patient, this will lead us to finding the best contact method for them. So this is so important, because some people work 9 to 5 and they can't answer their phone, you know, and a lot of you practices open at 9 a.m. and close at 5. They're working hours, and nobody answers their phone at lunchtime. They're busy making another, you know, 100 phone calls for personal admin. So we need to look outside of these barriers. So most people have access to a computer while they're at work, and how many of us can just quickly check our personal email while we're at work, or even at lunchtime? So, you know, sometimes email works better, sometimes text. Most of your dental software can text patients, then you should have like an SMS manager that you can check hourly, and you can do it that way. So secondly, to the best type of contact for the patient is when is the best time to contact them? So we've sort of covered this a little bit, but if a patient does for some reason say, look, I really can't talk right now, can you call me back? You need to at that time say, okay, when is a good time to call you back? What time do you finish work? Are weekends good for you? Or should I call you on a weekday? And you have to try and call them back within 24 hours. If you can do it in 12 hours, even better, but it is so important that you follow up with them in the next 24 hours, or you could potentially lose them. So the next point I'm going to touch on is in confirming the patient. So I think the lucky number is probably 3 days out from their appointment, you need to touch base with them again. So if they booked the day before, obviously you can just send them a text or something, but I think it's really important to touch base with them 3 days before. The process I like to use is send them a text saying that their appointment's in 3 days' time. Give us a call if they need to reschedule. There is a 24-hour cancellation policy, all of those sorts of things in the text message. If they don't get back to you and type a yes in the SMS, the next step I take is I email them the next day. So once you've emailed them, usually they'll get back to you by the time they've gotten their second point of contact. But if they don't, I will call the patient. So you need to show them that you are quite an in-demand practice that does require them to confirm their appointments. And not only that, it also allows us to reschedule easily when we've got 3 days out from their appointment to reschedule them. If for some reason they cancelled, it gives us time to bring a lead that might be booked in the day after back to that time. So we're seeing someone else sooner, especially if your books are full. So all of these things we need to take into consideration. We need to think worst case scenario, you know, this client's going to pull out. I need to be able to refill that spot because we don't want to have any gaps in the books. So I think it's really important to bring the rule into your practice that to confirm the patient 3 days before, and then if they haven't gotten back to you on the 2 days before their appointment, send them an email in the morning. If they haven't gotten back to you by, 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, we need to pick up the phone and give them a call so that we've got a whole day to reschedule or move the patient around or confirm. The next thing that I'm going to touch on, which is very connected to creating a sense of urgency, is letting the client or the patient know that their voucher only lasts 30 days. So this will weed out a lot of people, which is a good thing because we don't want people coming into the practice that, don't really want to be there. They just got something free online. So this will weed out the very, very small percentage of people who are just claiming something they don't even know what it is online, or they've forgotten about it or whatever. So we need to confirm with them that this voucher only lasts 30 days. After that, it's going to be non-valid and you won't be able to come in and have that treatment done for this discounted price. Another thing that I think you should emphasise when booking a patient is that you have a 24-hour cancellation policy. The amount that you charge them for the cancellation policy, completely up to you. I know most practices charge around $60 to $80 Australian per cancellation. In my experience, we usually give people a warning and we don't actually charge them that the first time. But some practices have zero tolerance for that, so they'll charge $60 to $80. But we need to emphasise that we have a 24-hour cancellation policy as we are an extremely busy dental practice and we have a waiting list this long, and if you don't show up, we'll fill your place in 2 seconds. So we need to make sure that we don't sound like we're desperate for clients or patients and that we have a million lined up if they weren't to turn up. So they have to know that there is a fee if they waste our time. So in our studies, we've found that the best time to contact patients is usually slightly out of hours. So usually between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, we're getting in contact with those patients straight away and getting them booked. Anytime after 9 a.m, people are usually at work. so it can be a little bit tricky to get in contact with them. It doesn't mean that you aren't eventually going to get onto these people or they won't call you back, but it's not that striking while the iron's hot sort of attitude. So we need to try and work around these hours. I don't know how you guys work your practices, but it is so valuable to have at least one day or 2 days a week that you guys work outside of practice hours. So whether that means, you know, having a staff member on from early in the morning till mid-afternoon, and then having someone take over and do, you know, a night stint. It's completely up to you guys how you work it, but it's so beneficial to have these out of hours times where you can contact patients and get them scheduled in their time. So, and they have more time to discuss things with you, give you all of that information that I was saying about building a rapport and all of that. So as I was saying, it would be highly beneficial to just have a couple of days a week. Weekends are an amazing time, whether it be a Saturday or a late night during the week or an early morning to late night once a week, because these are the times where you can work around the patient rather than the patient having to work around you. So when a patient says, look, I worked 9 till 5 and my kids have Saturday sports, I just don't have time to do anything for myself, you can say, that's fine, we're open till 8 o'clock on a Wednesday. And your husband will be at home and he can take care of the kids and you can come and have your dental checkup and clean or your veneer consult. So by having days like this, it helps you work around people's schedules rather than them having to work around you. Another thing that I want you guys to know is that there will be the tiniest percentage of people that will FTA. And they are such a small percentage, and it's important that we try and weed them out, and that's why we go through all of these steps so that we can weed them out before we have any of our time wasted. Okay guys, so that's it for this video training session. I just want you guys to remember sense of urgency, making some time for patients instead of them making time for you, weeding out those people who are time wasters, and creating a rapport with patients so that you can ultimately save their time and also your own as well.